Good morning, everybody. This is Sticks, the administrator for the website Sticks for Drums. Just thought I'd give you a walk around of my new 14-piece Mapex Saturn in Arctic White. I originally purchased the first 7 pieces from a drum store. Wasn't expecting to buy a white kit, but I saw the white with the black hardware and fell in love with the contrast. It's something you have to see in person to really get a grasp of. Seeing it in pictures just doesn't quite show you what I'm talking about. After the first 7 pieces, I figured I needed more. I wanted double bass, so I ordered another 7 pieces. And now it is a 14-piece set put on a DW stainless steel rack. I wanted the stainless steel because it doesn't show fingerprints, and the mounts that DW has just look so darn good, and they were all one color, so I didn't want the rack to take over from the drums or take away from the drums. I just want them to be there as a support system. You'll notice that all my drums are all on the rack. 4 of my drums are actually floor toms. The 18, 16, 15, and the 14 across the other side. But I wanted everything hanging off the rack. I didn't want any feet on the floor except for the feet of the rack. So I took the nice thing about the Saturn ISO mounts is you can take them off and convert them into hanging toms. So the 14, 15, and 16 are actually hanging off of one ISO mount, and the big guy at the back, which is set up like a gong drum, but it's actually done like Neil Peart's 18-inch floor tom up on 2 mounts, because it is a bigger, heavier drum. So that gives you a good idea of the side here. I've got a Pearl remote hi-hat with a 14-inch Paragon on it off to one side. We'll slowly walk you around to the other side. I don't want to make you sick here. I've got the 2 8s up top, 8788, which gives me a nice high pitch, and it runs its way down to a 10, 12, 13, 15, 16, 18. I actually copied Neil Peart with the 15 floor tom instead of a 14 as the first floor tom, or in this case it's a hanging tom, but in the position of the first floor tom, because it is actually a better depth of drum for that position. 14 for me is just a little bit too high a pitch. So you can see on this side I have one of my phosphor bronze snares, the unhammered one, as my side snare. I have it pitched higher in tone, and there's the 14 floor that I converted to a hanging tom. I also figured hanging toms must create better resonance than floor toms because there's just less things contacting the shell. The more they're allowed to resonate, the better they should sound. And these Saturns sound great. The walnut, it's a 6-ply, it's a 4-ply maple outer with a 2-ply inner walnut, and they sound fabulous. We'll go around to the back of the kit, give you a look at some of the other stuff. As I said, I have everything mounted off of the rack. On the floor you can see the remote hat. It's mounted off of the rack. Don't know if you can see it that well on here. There's the main Mapex hi-hat that came with the first 7 pieces. It's mounted off of the rack. I've got my 2 DW5000 bass drum pedals, and I have both snares mounted off of the rack. The uprights of the rack, which worked out really cool because you don't have the legs of the snares in your way. And it gives a nice, very nice clean footprint. And on my main snare I have my phosphor bronze hammered Mapex Black Panther snare. A fantastic snare that has a timbre somewhere between wood and steel. It's got a bit of a ring, and it's got the depth of wood. So it's got a real nice sound, and it's a fantastic looking snare. So we'll go up. You see I have the 13-inch Paragons. I'm a big Neil Peart fan. I love these hats. And for my remote, I have the 14-inch Paragon. All the other cymbals are Sabians, just because they're made in Canada. Sabian, I've got an Ozone. Below it, I've got Paragon Chinese. I've got my AX Fast Crashers up top, which I don't see many people using, but give them a try. They have a great, quick sound to them, very clean. Underneath, I have my stages to my right. My favorite cymbal in the whole kit would be my 16-inch Stage Crash. Fantastic sounding cymbal, and it's probably one of the cheapest ones I have. In the middle, I've got another fast crash. I've got my Paragon splashes off to the right, 8 and 10. And I've got another little ozone, which acts as a nice little trashy splash. On top, I actually have a cool symbol that I picked up last year. It's been signed by Mike Portnoy. It's Sabian. Now I can't think of the name, but it's a splash, Max Splash, sorry. Underneath, I have my other side, my main crashes, which is my Paragon 16 and 18. And on top, I have some nice, clean sounding hammered evolutions. I don't like too much of the really dirty sounding hammered cymbals nowadays, but these evolutions are very nice sounding cymbals. And the big guy at the end that doesn't get played a lot, because he's just loud and abrasive, and that's the 20-inch Paragon. So those are my cymbals. You can see my setup is very nice and compact and tight, very easy to play. Everything is exactly 3/4 of an inch away from one another. I know I'm anal, but hey, gotta have some issues, right? Everything is very nice and snug, very close together, no big reaches, and the big guy at the end is mounted off the rack on Mapex tom holders. Very nice system they have, the ball and socket joints, and I even have my mixer mounted on my rack. So everything is very nice and clean and tidy and solid. Nothing's going anywhere, and the only other feet I have on the floor is my DW stool. So I'll work my way around to the front again. I just want to show you a couple of the crazy anal things I did. One of the things I did, I'll show over here, is on my bass drum, I actually moved the badges towards the front of the bass drum to this side of the vent hole. Now, I know what you're wondering, I did not take off the badge, unscrew it and everything. Because of the ISO mounts on the bass drums, you can actually take these off from underneath the lugs very easily, just unscrewing the Phillips heads and sides. Take the lugs off, the ISO mounts come off, and you can place them on the opposite end of the drum. You take the heads and you change the two heads around, turn the whole drum around, and voila, the badge is now facing out for all to see. And I thought it made a really nice look with that and the beautiful DW mounts that are second to none in my opinion. Another thing I did, which was very easy to do, is the rim on the front of the bass drum. As you can see, all the heads come with an aluminum unfinished rim on the heads. I just thought it'd be really cool if the rim was actually finished in a color that complemented your kit. So what I did was I put black electrical tape. Of course, being an electrician, the first thing I thought of was electrical tape. And of course, with my kit and all the black hardware, it worked out perfectly. So eventually I will do both front and back and both bases, which I don't have done yet. I tried the white electrical on this side, and I just thought it didn't have enough pizzazz to it. I noticed the new Saturns have black front hoops. I don't want to go there because I love the contrast of the black claws, cast claws on the white hoop. Another thing I found out was all of Mapex's memory locks work fabulously on all my DW cymbal stands. And they look much better than the ones that DW provides. I have memory locks on all my stands everywhere. Another thing that's fantastic is DW's cymbal tensioners. They actually thread up and down, so you can leave the wing nut on top tight, so it's not loosening on you, and you just adjust the bottom up and down to whatever tension you want for your cymbal. You can make it go tighter or looser, which is great, and the wing nut never changes. You don't have to get any kind of fancy aftermarket nut on top. I'm just trying to think. Oh, another thing I did recently, I don't know if you can see it here, but the mounts, the ISO mounts that Mapex has, what they did was they used a painted metal bracket, and I didn't like the look of it, so I actually moved the metal bracket to the back of the lateral chrome bracket, so it cleaned it up really nicely. So that's something you can do. I have on my website. I talk about how I did that. So that's a look at my Mapex drums. I'm trying to go fast because I'm running out of time. Another thing I did was put black memory locks on all the holders because they did come with chrome ones. The floor toms come with black ones, so I figured they should be black everywhere because they tie in nicely. So there's my 10 minutes. Thanks for watching, and I hope you come visit the website. www.sticksfordrums.com. Thanks.